Another week, another episode of The Walking Dead, but this one is especially important. I'm Terri Schwartz, this is Laura Prudhomme, and we are talking full spoilers for episode 4 of season 9, The Obliged. Now this, spoilers kind of, but not really, is the episode that the AMC has been heavily promoting as Rick's second to last episode.
Yeah.
You really feel that in the final scene of this episode.
Doesn't it feel like Glenn all over again? And like, really, guys? I mean, we know he's dying. We didn't kind of know that Glenn was dying then, so I guess it's not a one-to-one comparison, but it's like the inevitability of it. You're like, really?
So here's what bothered me about it. Like, again, AMC has been heavily promoting that there are 2 more episodes at this point left for Rick. We're building up to the scene, and then the cliffhanger is like, how is he going to get out of this one? Which, you're right, I feel like we've seen on The Walking Dead before. I kind of just feel like The Walking Dead, you could do better, right? Like we don't need to have Rick impaled, surrounded by zombies, knowing next week is the last episode. Like, there could have been, I think, a bit more meat, pun not intended, to this episode and where they leave him without us feeling like, oh, well, obviously he's going to die when the next episode starts, which I don't even think is especially likely.
That's the frustrating thing. It's like, is he really going to just be eaten by those zombies? No, like, that's a terrible emotional payoff for an episode that everyone's touting as this big emotional like send-off that's supposed to like really pay off his entire journey on the show. So it's like, my theory, take with a grain of salt, is that Daryl will race in on his motorbike and save him somehow, at least drag him back to Alexandria or have a moment with him. Like, someone's got to interfere out of nowhere, because otherwise it's just like, why wouldn't you just show him getting eaten at the end of this
Exactly,
episode?
and like, he obviously has a very serious injury, but again, we've seen characters get out of serious injuries before, and I think like this ending in particular wouldn't bother me so much if the whole episode didn't feel like a lot of moments for that. Like, we have Maggie heading to Alexandria, but not getting there. Like, we have a lot of build up in this episode, and if it was aired as a 2-parter instead of a week in between it, and obviously that'll be different when people are watching it in syndication, binging after the full season has come out, that the pacing will feel a bit different. But watching week to week, again, there felt like different cheaper elements in this episode that were doing the audience a disservice. And I just, again, like, I didn't feel like there was a lot of other meat to this episode beyond that. We had the big conversation between Michonne and Negan, and then we did have this like conversation between Daryl and Rick, which I like.
Where they're like trapped in a well and can't get out, basically. So they're like forced to have like a manufactured argument where it's like, oh, but we all really love each other. And
I wish there'd been more to that conversation. Your theory again is like that you think that they will have that moment.
Yeah, I think that like, you know, they butted heads, they got everything out that they wanted to say to each other. And that will be what makes Daryl turn around like, no, I can't leave him to face these walkers on my own, you know, so we'll see.
I will be so disappointed if that actually is the last scene between Daryl and Rick. Obviously, like, this season, we've talked a bit about it in the previous episodes we've done. Angela Kang is the new showrunner. There is a clear new creative direction. And I've liked a lot about this season. I actually really loved the cold open with Michonne. I thought that showed us so much about where she is emotionally, that tied in with her conversation with Negan, which was really interesting. But this did sort of remind me of all the things that had frustrated me about The Walking Dead in the past several seasons, we'll say. Like, again, leaning into that, can they get out of it?
It tends to overplay its hand, I think, is the thing. Like, it doesn't really trust the audience to, you know, get that. It's like, let's lead you by the hand and show you what you're supposed to be feeling. Like, we have Negan and Michonne talking, and Negan saying, you're afraid that you're gonna be like me and lose everything you love, and now we know in one episode she is gonna lose the man she loves.
Somehow. Which, this is like our final chance to take bets on what we think is gonna happen. So I have a theory, but I want you to go first. What do you think will make next episode be the reason why it's Rick's last episode?
I think that because of the wound he suffered, that he will succumb to his injuries that way, or maybe something mundane like an infection. I don't think it will be like a walker bite, but I do think they will kill him because they have been teasing this big emotional send-off. And also it kind of makes him a little bit of a douchebag if he somehow survives and leaves his, you know, girl and his daughter
And maybe it's
forever.
interesting, like he's talking in this episode about how killing Negan would make him a martyr, but maybe by Rick dying, he becomes a martyr.
Yeah.
I could see that. I actually, this episode and sort of the seeming fake out at the end of the episode, which maybe I'm completely wrong and I
Maybe
will
he
eat
gets
my words.
eaten by the zombies, who
immediately
knows?
after. But I actually think he won't die. I don't know how they'll do it, but just the fact that they've been so cagey about like, it's his final 2 episodes, but not his death. Like even when they're talking about it, they've
Yes,
sort
no
of
one
been
has said
open-ended.
Rick's death.
Which I guess
yet.
like you can't explicitly, but again, I sort of feel like the door still will somehow be open should he want to return, because it very much seems like it's been his decision to leave the show and not a show dictated decision like some of the other characters. So yeah, I still am just skeptical, and maybe I'm too much of an optimist, but I don't think we're going to see him die next week. I think if it's Daryl who saves him or someone else, he somehow gets out of this and then for some reason needs to leave or needs to walk away, and maybe it's because his family has turned against him in this way. But I don't know.
Maybe it'll be Maggie who saves him because she's out there. We don't know where she is. She's on the way to Alexandria, but we don't know where she is. That would be a nice one.
Yeah, I'm very curious for everyone who's watching this video if you sort of agreed with our take that we were frustrated by the way they ended this episode with a cliffhanger into Rick's big final episode, or if you really liked the lead up and sort of the emotional beats that they had leading up to that episode. No opinion is the wrong opinion, so please share your thoughts in the comments. But we have plenty more of The Walking Dead as well to keep you fed until next week's final Rick episode. We do have the cast members saying goodbye to Andrew Lincoln. It's a hilarious video. I suggest you check it out. And even though Andrew Lincoln is leaving, we do have confirmation that 3 cast members will be returning to the show at some point in season 9. We'll be back next week to talk about Rick's big episode, but for all things Walking Dead and TV in the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.